You got to give up on society's game plan. 401ks, IRAs, the traditional things, right? They're failure programs. They don't work. They're totally broken.
Money Guy family, here's the setup. The content team let us know everything in this video is going to infuriate the financial planning universe.
All right, Brian, so let's dive in and see what they have planned for us today.
My coworker used to call me stupid for not putting my money in the 401k. Now I'm financially free and they are still stuck at their job. You will never hear rich people talk about how they're going to retire with the 401k. Warren Buffett doesn't talk about the 401k. Rich people invest their money in things that will give them cash flow every single month, like rental property. With the 401k, you have to wait until you're 65 to be able to use that money. Who the heck want that? Plus, with inflations, that money will barely give you a comfortable life. You'll still be struggling. Remember, the 401k was designed by the government to keep you poor and trapped at the job. So if you want to be free, take that money and invest in some rental property.
And I bet he's got a system that will get you there even faster.
That's super frustrating because he was flying in the face of things that we know to be true, that steady, consistent savings over time in a well-diversified basket of holdings inside of tax advantage accounts is one of the #1 ways that millionaires actually get there. Study after study after study have shown that, not that it was designed as a mechanism to keep you poor. That's just foolishness.
By the way, your 401k doesn't just sit there in cash. It actually gets invested. Inflation protection from 1980 all the way through the end of 2021. 401k, the S&P 500 had been an inflation protector of a spread over inflation of 8.9%. So if you think about that in terms of compounding growth, that is tremendous. Absolutely. So, and it's also, we need to remind people, the majority of millionaires, the first account to reach 7 figures is going to be their 401k. And then last thing, I can't help myself, we love real estate investing. I think that we get a bad rap on that. We're actually commercial real estate guys ourselves. I've done residential vacation and residential rental. But here's the thing. You gotta have deep pockets to make it through the storm of real estate when you hit those bad periods. To tell you to start there first is a recipe for disaster.
And I don't need my cash flow now. I've got cash flow now. I want to have cash flow later on when I retire. That's why I invest in tax-deferred accounts where they can grow large over the years and let compound interest do what compound interest does. All right, what else we got here?
You got to give up on society's game plan. 401ks, IRAs, the traditional things, right? They're failure programs. They don't work. They're totally broken. What you got to do instead are 3 dominant things. Number 1, you got to look for private equity plays that can deliver 10x, 50x, or even 100x.
All you got to do is look for ones with 100x.
I bet he has a way to tell you how to get that.
Cash-on-cash plays that are producing 10, 15, 20% plus. And the third thing, when you start making a lot, you're going to owe the government a lot. So how do you get out of that?
What an absolute joke.
What a sick joke.
All you got to do is go find the stock that over the next 2 years can make 100%. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is just go pick that.
Why stop at 100? Why not 2,000%?
2,000%.
2,000%.
It's easy.
Just go find the stock that's going to go up 2,000%.
And by the way, everybody can get in private equity deals. It's not like you have to be, like an accredited investor or anything like that. Anybody can go do that. So surely, instead of doing the tried and true thing, like maxing out your Roth IRA, like putting money in your 401k, like buying low-cost, boring index funds that turn into extreme wealth over time, let me go just find this thing that pays me 100 times over. That just doesn't make any sense at all.
I think it's interesting that the content space is filled full of people that are cutting the corner off of success. They just tell you it's so simple. All you have to do is buy this speculative thing, buy their system here, and it's always the get rich quick. Meanwhile, the reality of the situation is wealth happens slowly.
That's right.
I mean, it's that tortoise and hare, the childhood book that we were all read is that consistent, always be buying into low-cost index funds, doing the stuff that's working for you, whether it's bad outside with volatility and bear markets, whether it's good times with bull markets and fast recoveries. You're just consistently buying through the process, buying into the ever-expanding economy of this global world we live in. But that doesn't seem as sexy. It doesn't allow you to buy two-tone sleeves t-shirts with lions or cougars or whatever was on his shirt.
Do you guys remember in 2017 how Bitcoin went to like 20 grand?
Yeah, I do, because I tried to invest back then, and
it was too risky
Yeah.
for my financial advisors to comfortably give me my own money to invest.
Fire them all.
And they didn't do it. No, swear to God. And they didn't do it. So now I'm feel like I'm late.
I gotta tell you, this whole crypto thing is starting to feel more and more sketch in the fact that we've always said that this is really a nerdy person's Ponzi scheme.
Yeah,
if
for
you
sure.
think about the way that it was set up. Now I've dabbled in it because I was like, all these people keep telling me we're boomers, we just don't understand it. So I was like, well, let me get in there and experience it. And it's just a big volatile train of valuations going up and down constantly, which lends itself to be more gambling or speculating than investing. And then I don't like how you find out that a lot of the key players, like think about this whole FTX implosion that's going on. You find out that a lot of the players are using these strategies, some people might say schemes, to take a small amount of money, make it look much larger, and then use the actual assets that people that they kind of recruit in, and they're using celebrities. They're making this seem very legitimate by using people that have a lot of persuasive power.
Here's what I think is frustrating. When you work with a financial advisor, you are paying them for their advice and their counsel. But at the end of the day, it's still your money. You still get to make choices. You are still the CEO that is now employing a CFO to help you with decisions. So him saying, oh, well, my financial advisor wouldn't give me my money. Do you care about the advice that they provide, or do you not care about the advice they provide? If you don't value that advice, then don't work with that person. But also, don't fault them if you don't take their advice and there are bad outcomes because of that. I think that's silly. That's not a very good advisory relationship that was set up there.
I'm not an expert,
Hey,
and
Steph.
I don't need to be. With FTX, I have everything I need
Speaking
to buy,
of-
sell, and trade crypto safely.
FTX, the big crypto exchange, is collapsing.
I'm Osaka, and I'm proud to partner with FTX.
FTX is insolvent.
Not a trade. I'm trading crypto. FTX is the safest and easiest way to buy and sell crypto.
A lot of people who own crypto cannot get their money out.
It's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Guys, if it seems too good to be true, your spidey senses ought to be going off all over the place, because this has happened over and over and over again. And by the way, this won't be the last one. I'm just telling you. And maybe crypto has some type of renaissance recovery, but man, this FTX thing is pulling down a lot of folks.
What I think is crazy is if I want to know how to shoot from half court, then I'm going to talk to Steph about that. If I want to know how to win a Super Bowl, then I'm going to talk to Tom Brady. But when it comes to financial advice, I probably should listen to folks who actually live in the financial world and do financial things for a living. I get nervous when all these celebrities are touting that. I don't know that that's necessarily who I should be taking all of my financial advice from.
There's one more lesson here. The next time we have the next it thing come on the scene, if you're a content creator or somebody who works in the financial space and people come to you and say, hey, we will give you this, and it's way over the top to get access to your audience, kind of remember this and remember that it can be too good to be true. Also on the promotion side too, that easy money might come with some really sticky strings that get you in a lot of heartache in the future.
Good morning, bad news. If you are a millennial or Gen Z, you are never going to retire and you will likely have to work until you die. And if you think you're safe because you have an employer-matched 401k, which by the way, statistically very few people have, you're not safe because a new study from the TAAA shows that 401k or 403b plans
So
will provide
how's this a
nearly enough
solution?
savings even over the next 40 or 50 years. In fact, America is already in a retirement crisis. Today, more than half of all baby boomers don't have enough money to retire on, and they experience the greatest and fastest economic growth in U.S. history while exploiting later generations and massive ongoing transfers of wealth. Meanwhile, our generations have lower real wages and live mostly paycheck to paycheck, providing no opportunity to invest long-term in retirement
this
plans.
is
That matters
encouraging
because
the
the most
cycle of
effective
poor.
investments have historically been real estate, which is totally unaffordable now anyway. Simultaneously, we have significantly more debt than all previous generations, not to mention that the cost of retirement itself is going to be dramatically more expensive for millennials and Gen Zers because of inflation, cost of living increases, rent, and of course skyrocketing healthcare costs, which add up quickly by retirement age. And by the way, Social Security is expected to be severely depleted by 2034. So we're slowly but surely approaching a massive retirement crisis that'll...
I feel like I'm listening to Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. It's true. A lot of older people don't have resources. But the problem is back to they didn't take a little bit of today while they were young to build that great big beautiful tomorrow in the future, because a little turns into a tremendous amount if you can start early enough. So when people tell you, you know, the system's rigged, it's all working against you, you don't need to get involved with it because you'll just lose, all they're doing is creating that cycle of loss to continue repeating itself because they know that they're recruiting the next generation of people that will tell the young, hey, you can't do this. And I hate that. Two guys coming from humble beginnings. You can do this too.
Every generation thinks that they're the generation facing the most scary thing that's going to come. So them saying, okay, millennials and Gen Z have this horrible. How do you think it was back in the 1970s? We saw the last bout of hyperinflation when mortgage rates were double digits. And oh, by the way, there was like a realistic threat of nuclear war where you were like hiding under your school desks as a means of protection back then. Do you think that that generation was thinking, oh, you know what, over the next 20 years, we're gonna have the advent of the internet, and we're gonna have the advent of the personal cell phone and the personal computer, and we're gonna change the way that e-commerce happens all across the world? Of course not. So even right now, if I'm a millennial or a Gen Zer, I should be excited about what the next 20, 30, 40 years looks like, instead of listening to these people peddling fear, because we live in an amazing world that is advancing incredibly quickly, where opportunity is there. You just have to decide, are you gonna be someone who participates in it? Or are you gonna be one of those people that wakes up 40 years from now and never actually got busy doing something worthwhile when it comes to building wealth?
So why do I put all my money in permanent life insurance when most people tell you not to? Let me give you a few examples.
Because he sells it.
I would say because I work
Permanent
for the
life
company.
insurance guarantees that my kids will end up rich. I like that. Some people don't like that, unlike term insurance where you are basically throwing away all your money. Second reason, permanent life insurance guarantees against stock market risk. I like that. There's a big stock market plummet coming. I will not participate in that. Third reason, permanent life insurance has produced far superior results than the stock market in the last 25 years. I know that's hard to believe, but math is math, results are results, so always
show
check
me the math.
Love it.
even after the cost of life insurance. And that commission he's talking about, well, that's a blatant lie. A life insurance contract that is designed correctly will pay about 1/100th of the fee of a financial advisor long term. And the most important reason I put my money in permanent life insurance, because it produces up to 4 times more retirement income than the pathetic Roth IRA.
Oh,
man.
wow. Okay, all right.
You notice no numbers, just all statements.
I generally disliked you to start with, but you come after my Roth IRA. Those are fighting words. That is egregious talk. To call it a pathetic Roth IRA, that's clueless. That guy, he just doesn't have a real grasp on the way that money actually works.
Well, I always think it's interesting. First of all, how can insurance companies, they do offer something that is a forbidden language in the financial field. They call it guarantees. You don't hear anybody who works in the financial space use the word guarantees, because the government and all the regulators put a lot of weight on that. So how can the insurance industry do that and make it work? Well, the reason and the way is that they control your behavior. Remember, we love investing, we love compounding growth, but the problem is a lot of people get in their own way because the big component of investing that they leave out is the time. You have to leave your money working 7 to 10 years to weather whatever comes your way. Well, guess what? Insurance companies make you, whatever you give them, will have lockup periods. They'll have, surrender periods. They'll have, all kind of fees that will be taken from you if you don't respect that holding period that they have on these products. But also remember, permanent insurance. Why is it like 20 times the cost of term insurance when you're young? Is because what they're doing is the cost of insurance doesn't change between term and permanent. It's just that your premium, the term, is just basically the cost of the insurance plus the administration, and they've done all their calculations off of it. The permanent has to say, hey, let's build cash value. Let's have investments built into it so that while you're young and healthy, you will overpay on the premium so that when you're older and the cost of insurance skyrockets, because hopefully now you're self-insured because you have your own financial assets behind you, you can still afford the insurance premiums that are much higher because you way overpaid while you were young and healthy. The problem I hate is that takes all the oxygen out of the room, is that while you're overpaying for this permanent insurance, you can't afford to pay for the mortgage. You can't get into your first house. You can't get, you're making life decisions where you're not investing the 20 to 25% of your income for the future. It really limits you, all because somebody tried to scare you, just like this gentleman, on making bad decisions when you need more flexibility while you're young and building wealth and trying to start building that big financial foundation.
Here's an easy side hustle that you can set up in less than an hour that will create you passive income.
If we have a look at this puzzle book, this person has made at least 3,800 sales at $25 each, and that's about 95,000 passively. To do the same, go to PuzzleWiz, and this site will generate puzzles for you. They allow commercial usage, and there's tons to choose from.
This is far from
Once
passive.
you've made the puzzle book, go to Amazon KDP, and they will publish it all for you. And all you do is collect the difference.
And that's what, by the way, can I tell you the math crime that I see everybody make in social media? So you see this one extremely successful thing, and then they multiply it by 10,000 because there's like 10,000 of these things just hanging out around for everybody to kind of grab. That's not the way it works, because I've seen people do this with real estate where they say, go flip a house. Just go buy this house because you can buy it for $5 and then you can go sell it for $1 million later. Then you can go do this 26,000 times. You'll be fine. To say you're just going to go put it out there and it's going to all of a sudden capture all this traffic and make all this money just seems a little naive.
And if it were that easy, then why wouldn't everybody be doing it? Why wouldn't the market immediately correct for that? It just doesn't pass the common sense test.
How can someone become wealthy in 2022?
Bitcoin. Oh.
Cryptocurrency. Buy it.
This must have been in January.
Go up to 500,000. People want something that's unregulated.
Yeah. This stuff doesn't age well. I think people think we have a crystal ball. How did you guys know this wasn't going to work out well? How did you? I mean, you saw it because I saw the excitement when it ran from just 1,000 or so up to 20,000. Then it got crushed back down. Then it ran all the way up into the high 60,000 mark on Bitcoin specifically. And now here we are at 60. Why do we keep having these boom or bust cycles? It's because the only way that you make money off of these cryptocurrencies is if you convince the next person to spend more than you did. It's not like these things generate income like interest, like rent. They're not innovating. There's no dividends being paid. The only way you can make money is to convince somebody to pay more than you paid. So that's going to create boom and bust cycles because it creates runs. Because what happens when all of a sudden a bunch of bad news comes out, like FTX collapsing, and you find out that a lot of this stuff that you thought you understood is completely a sham, and then everybody's like, oh my gosh, I gotta get out of this. It creates a run cycle, so there's no intrinsic value built on it. It just is a collapse. And then you have to wait. It'll clear out. Everybody will kind of have it, because we all have short-term memories. It'll clear out. And then they'll start the cycle all over again. Well, they'll start building and they'll remind people, hey, look, you can make 100% really quick. And if you got in early, I guess you make a lot of money. But this thing is not going to be the way that you can consistently create wealth for your family so you can live off of it.
You have to be so careful of what you're listening to and who you're following and who you're letting in your head. You already said it. If something seems too good to be true, let the red flags go up, because perhaps it is. There is nothing wrong with tried and true measures to building wealth that have worked for years and decades and centuries, slowly deferring a little bit a day for tomorrow and watching your army of dollar bills grow.
Yeah, take advantage of today. Time is going to be your most valuable resource. Every day that you get distracted by these get-rich-quick schemes is a day that your money's not working for you, and a day that you're getting wealthier and stronger by that consistent, great behavior that actually wealthy people have used.
And we are going to keep loading you up. If you haven't checked out the website, go to moneyguide.com. We have an entire free resource page out there for you. If you want to know about our courses, you can go to learn.moneyguide.com. And we do a live stream every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. that we would love for you to be a part of.
I'm your host, Brian. Mr. Bo Hansen, Money Guy team, reacting out.